right, today we're going to talk about Trig Day 1, which is everything you learned in geometry last year in 15 minutes. You ready? Keep your fingers crossed for 15 minutes or less. Sohcahtoa plus. Sohcahtoa plus. So here's what's up. Last year, y'all remember what Sohcahtoa was, right? Hopefully. If you have a right triangle where theta is one of the angles. Now, theta is a Greek letter. Theta is just a variable that's always going to represent an angle. Theta looks like a zero with a support bar through the center of that. So when we say sine of theta, what we're saying here is sine of theta is, well, so that's opposite divided by the hypotenuse. Now, the sine of theta, this would be the opposite side of theta in relation to theta. Now, real quick, if we're talking about this one, this would be the opposite side, right? Anyway, so this is the opposite side. This is the adjacent to theta. It's next to it. And since this is opposite to 90, this is the hypotenuse. Quick little geometry review there. So sine of theta was opposite divided by hypotenuse. Cosine of theta was adjacent divided by the hypotenuse. And tangent of theta is toa, opposite divided by the adjacent. However, those are the 3 trig functions that you learned last year. However, there are actually 6 trig functions. Wiki, what? Here's what's up. There are also what are called the reciprocal functions. Reciprocal trig functions, I should say. Reciprocal trig functions are, now here's how I remember it. SC goes, well, I'll tell you that in a minute. First of all, the first one is called CSC of theta. That is called cosecant. I'll write it on this side. Cosecant. Cosecant of theta is hypotenuse divided by opposite. Then we got secant of theta. Again, that is secant. Oops. Secant. And that's going to be the hypotenuse divided by the adjacent. Hey, look at this. Look at that one. Look at this one. Huh? Yeah. So the last one is called COT of theta. This is called cotangent. Cotangent. Take a guess what cotangent is. Go on. Did y'all get adjacent divided by the opposite? There it is. So here's what's up. Here's how I remember it. Tangent and cotangent make sense. They are the reciprocal of each other's. But then the other two are called, I just remember it's always SC. It's never SS. It's never CC. Sine matches up with cosecant. Cosine matches up with secant. All right, so always start with the ones you know, and then we'll worry about these later. Cool. So here's what's up. I said that cosecant, secant, and cotangent were all reciprocal functions. In other words, well, now you see opposite and hypotenuse was reciprocal to hypotenuse divided by the opposite, right? In other words, though, the cosecant of theta is the same thing as 1 divided by the sine of theta. And it'll come up some more later. For right now, I'm just kind of throwing this at you. Oh, and secant of theta is 1 divided by the cosine of theta. And, you may have guessed, cotangent is 1 divided by the tangent of theta. All right, so let's do a quick example here. I want you to find the 6 trig ratios of the given triangle. Here's the given triangle. We're going to make a triangle, zoop, zoop, zoop. And this time we're going to talk about theta is the top one this time. And I'll tell you this is 7 and this is 9. Now, before you even get started, what I would do is figure out all 3 sides of this here triangle. Now, this is a right triangle. Oh, that's a right angle. Sorry, I forgot that. How would you find the 3rd side? Here's the thing, y'all. Whenever you see a right triangle, the first thing that should ever pop in your head is Pythagorean Theorem. So, this is going to be 7 squared plus x squared equals 9 squared. Right? So, it's going to be x squared equals 81 minus 49 is 32. Square root both sides. Now, we use the square root. We should put plus or minus. But can this side be negative? No. So I'm only going to worry about the positive. The square root of 42, make a tree, because we want exact. I never want a decimal unless otherwise stated. Make a tree with 32, you should get 4 root 2. So that means that this side here is 4 root 2. Once you got your 3 sides, the 6 trig ratios are easy. Start off with the ones that you know and love. We'll start off with sine, cosine, and tangent. Let's start there. Hook up those 3. Now remember, we're talking about this top angle here. So opposite would be 4 root 2 divided by the hypotenuse is 9. Cosine is the adjacent. Adjacent is next to the angle, so it would be 7 divided by 9. And tangent is opposite divided by adjacent, so it would be 4 root 2 divided by 7. Right? Those 3 are simple enough. That brings us on to the reciprocal functions. What goes with what goes with sine? Cosecant of theta. Cosine is secant of theta. Tangent is cotangent of theta. All right, so let's do the cosecant. Cosecant is just a reciprocal of sine. So it's going to be 9 divided by 4 root 2. But this ain't cool, right? We got to rationalize the denominator. So this is 9 root 2 divided by 8. Everybody down with what I did there? I multiply by... The 4 is fine. I don't got to fix the 4. The only thing I got to change is the root 2. So I multiply top and bottom by root 2. 9 root 2 divided by 4 times root 2 times root 2. 2 comes out 8. All right, so 9 root 2 divided by 8. Secant is easy. 9 divided by 7. Nothing to do on this one. And then we got... sorry. 7 divided by 4 root 2. But again, you got to fix that too. 7 root 2 divided by 8. All right, that's how you find the 6 trig functions. We know these. The only new ones are cosecant, secant, and cotangent. All right, that brings us to the next part. Your calculator. Go ahead and press pause if you need to get out your calculator. I need to press pause. All right, so using our calculator, we need to review this. First of all, the first thing you need to do whenever you're using your calculator is first thing I need you to go in, hit mode. I need you to make sure you are in degree mode. Radian mode is not going to work for this. We will be using radian mode this chapter, however, not yet. Everything we're going to be doing is degree. So go back to your home screen, and let's start off with something like the sine of 30 degrees. Right? Easy enough. You go to your buttons, press sine. No, that's not sin. Oh my goodness. Sine of 30. Press enter, and you should get 0.5. Right? So sine of 30 is 0.5. If they give you the angle, using the calculator is pretty simple. Right? If I ask you what the tangent of 60 degrees is, you press tangent 60. Press enter, and it's gross, so we'd round to maybe 4 decimal places. Let's go to 4. 1.730, oh, excuse me, 7321. All right, here's where it starts to get a little weird. What if I asked, what is the cosecant of 30 degrees? Now, you look at your calculator, notice there is no cosecant button, right? However, we said earlier that there was cosecant is the same thing as 1 divided by the sine of theta, right? So let's rewrite this as 1 divided by the sine of 30 degrees. That's what cosecant means. So in order to put this into your calculator, you would put in 1 divided by the sine of 30. Now, remember how we said it was the reciprocal function? Watch this. 0.5 is the same thing as a half, right? What's the reciprocal of 1/2? Press enter. It is 2. Cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. Word? So here's what's up. I want you to try these three yourselves for a moment. Let's go with the cotangent of 60. And I'll give you 2 more. Let's do the secant of 210 degrees. And let's do the cosecant of 500 degrees. Go ahead and press pause. Give those a shot. All right. So cotangent is 1 divided by the tangent of 60, which is approximately 1 divided by the tangent of 60. 0.5774. Let's go to 4 decimal places. 0.5774. The secant of 210 degrees. That is 1 divided by the cosine of 210 degrees. Which is approximately, whoa, how about that? We got a negative answer this time. We got negative 1.1547. We'll talk more about why it's negative as we go on this unit. Then cosecant of 500, that's going to be 1 divided by, what goes with cosecant? The sine of 500 degrees. Man, that's hot. Or, that's hot. That's what Paris Hilton would have said back in the day. That's dated even for you guys. Anyways, 1.5557. Approximately 1.5557. Cool, so here's what's up. All these were when we were given the angle, right? But what if we're trying to find the calculator to find the angle? So, one of your favorite triangles last year was a 3-4-5 triangle, right triangle, right? This is a 3-4-5 right triangle. We're going to find the measure of theta. Where's theta? Theta is going to be right here, to the nearest degree. Now, here's what's up. We're going to set this up just like we've set up every other right triangle trig problem. Here's the thing. We're going to ignore the 4 the first time, though. Don't worry about the 4. So if I'm using this 3 and this 5, how is this 3 related to theta? Well, that's the adjacent, right? And 5, of course, is the hypotenuse. So what trig ratio am I going to use if I'm using adjacent and hypotenuse? Ka, right? That's, remember, Sohcahtoa. Adjacent hypotenuse is cosine. So we're going to say the cosine of theta is 3 divided by 5. Now, we've talked about this before. If I have x plus 2, how do you get x by itself? How do you get x by itself here? Take the square root to get x by itself there. We just got done talking about how to get x by itself here. But if I have the cosine of x is equal to 9, how do we uncosine? That's what's happening here. Now, we'll find out that this can never happen. But back here, how do you uncosine? You're going to inverse cosine both sides. Right? So inverse cosine is the enemy of cosine. Those cancel. You're left with theta equals the inverse cosine of 3/5. Right? Now, your calculator does have an inverse cosine button. All right, you're going to go to cosine, but if you hit the second, you see how it's got that second cosine. Cosine to the negative 1 power. That says inverse cosine of 3/5. So let's put in 3 divided by 5. And you get theta. Theta is approximately 53 point. Let's just go to the nearest degree. 53 degrees. You want to see some math and magic? Watch this. Let's ignore the 3 this time. And now let's call that 4. If we were to use theta and this side, how is 4 related to theta? It's the opposite side. And then we still got to have the hypotenuse. So what is opposite hypotenuse? Opposite hypotenuse, of course, is sine. So we have the sine of theta equals 4 divided by 5. How do you unsine? You inverse sine both sides. So now you're at theta equals the inverse sine of 4/5. Oops, I'm almost done, y'all. So you do the inverse sine of 4 divided by 5. Press enter. Get out of here! It's the same thing! Can you believe that? Oh my goodness, it's math and magic, right? Theta is approximately 53 degrees. That's enough for me. Smith out!